And Mr. Canary yesterday was reading, and I think he left off on the chapter called Not Sleepy, right?
Yeah.
So you guys want to mute yourselves real quick.
Chapter 8. 19 to 22.
Perfect. Okay. Not sleepy. Stella, I say after Julia and her father go home, I can't sleep. Of course you can, says Stella. You're the king of sleepers. Shh, says Bob on his perch of my belly. I'm dreaming about chili fries. I'm tired, I say, but I'm not sleepy. What are you tired of? Stella asks. I think for a while. It's hard to put into words. Gorillas are not complainers. We're dreamers and poets and philosophers and good nap takers. I don't know exactly. I kick at my tire swing. I think I might be tired of my domain and my cage. That's because it's a cage, Bob tells me. Bob's not always very tactful. I know, Stella says. It's a very small domain. And you're a very big gorilla, Bob adds. Stella? I ask. Yeah? I noticed you were limping today more than usual. Is your leg bothering you? Just a little, Stella answers. I sigh. Bob resettles and his ear flicks. He drools a little bit, but I don't mind about the drool on my belly. I'm used to it. Try eating something, Stella says. That always makes you happy. I eat an old brown carrot. It doesn't help, but I don't tell Stella. She needs to sleep. You could try remembering a good day, Stella suggests. That's what I do when I can't sleep. Stella remembers every moment since she was born, every scent, every sunset, every slight, every victory. You know, I don't remember much, I say. There's a difference, Stella says gently, between can't remember and won't remember. That's true, I admit. Not remembering can be difficult when I have lots of time to work on it. Memories are precious, Stella adds. They help you to tell us who we are. Try remembering all your keepers. You always liked Carl, the one who had the harmonica. Carl, yes. I remember how he gave me coconut when I was still a little juvenile. It took me all day long to open it. I try to recall the other keepers I've known. The humans who cleaned my domain and they prepared my food, and sometimes they even kept me company. There was Juan, who poured Pepsi into my waiting mouth. And Katrina, who used to poke me with a broom when I was sleeping. And Ellen, she always sang, "How much is that monkey in the window?" with a sad smile when she scrubbed my water bowl. And then there was Gerald, who once brought me a box of sweet, fat strawberries. Gerald was my favorite keeper. I haven't had a real keeper in a long time. Max says he doesn't have the money to pay me for an 8 babysitter. These days, George cleans my cage, and Mac is the one who feeds me. When I think about all the people who've taken care of me, mostly it's Mac. I recall day in and day out, year after year, Mac, who brought me in and raised me, says I'm no longer even cute. As if a silverback could ever be cute. Moonlight falls on like a frozen carousel on the silent popcorn stand, and on the stalls of leather belts that smell like long-gone cows. And the heavy work of Stella's breathing sounds like the wind in the trees. And I wait for sleep to find me. Next chapter is called The Beetle. Mac gives me a new black crayon and a fresh pile of paper. It's time to work again. I smell the crayon and I roll it around in my hands and I press the sharp point on my palm. There's nothing I love more than a new crayon. I search my domain for something to draw that's black. An old banana peel would work, but I've eaten them all. Knot tag is brown. My little pool is blue. The yogurt raisin I'm saving this afternoon is white, at least on the outside. Something moves in the corner. I have a visitor. A shiny beetle has stopped by. Bugs often wander through my domain on their way to somewhere else. Hello, little beetle, I say. The bug freezes, silent. Bugs never want to chat with me. The beetle's an attractive bug with a body like a glossy nut. He's black like a starless night. That's it. I'll draw the beetle. It's hard making a picture of something new. I don't get a chance very often, but I try. I look at the beetle who's being kind enough not to move, and then back to my paper. I draw his body and his legs and his little antennas and his sour expression. I'm lucky. The beetle stays all day. Usually bugs don't linger when they visit. I'm beginning to wonder if he's feeling all right. Bob, who's been known to munch on bugs from time to time, offers to eat him. I tell Bob that won't be necessary. I'm just finishing my last picture when Mac returns. George and Julie are with him. Mac enters my domain and picks up the drawing. What the heck is this, he asks. Beats me what Ivan thinks he's drawn. It's a picture of nothing. A big, black nothing. Julie is standing outside my domain. Can I see it, she asks. Mac holds my picture up to the window, and Julia tilts her head. She squeezes one eye shut. She opens it. She looks around my domain. I know, she exclaims. It's a beetle. See that beetle over there by Ivan's pool? Man, I just sprayed this place for bugs. Mac walks over to the beetle and lifts his foot, and before Mac can stomp, the beetle skittles away, disappearing through a small crack in the wall. Mac turns back to my drawing. So you figure this is a beetle, huh? If you say so, kid. Oh, that's a beetle for sure, Julia says, smiling at me. I know a beetle when I see one. It's nice, I think, having a fellow artist around. Next chapter is called Change. Stella is the first to notice the change, but soon we all feel it. A new animal is coming to the Big Top Mall. How do we know this? Because we listen and we wait. But most of all, we sniff the air. Humans always smell odd when change is in the air, like rotten meat, with just a hint of papaya. You ever think you smell like rotten meat when something's going to change? Next chapter is called Guessing. Bob fears our new neighbor will be a giant cat with slitted eyes and a coiled tail. But Stella says a truck will arrive this afternoon carrying a baby elephant. How do you know, I ask. I sample the air, but all I smell is caramel corn. I love caramel corn. I can hear her, Stella says. She's crying for her mom. I listen. I hear the cars charging past. I hear the snore of the sun bears in their wire domain. I don't hear any elephants. You're just hoping, I say. Stella closes her eyes softly. Not hoping, she says. Not at all. Next chapter is called Jambo. My TV's off, so while we wait for the new neighbor, I ask Stella to tell us a story. Stella rubs her right foot against the wall. Her foot is swollen again, and it's an ugly, deep red. If you're not feeling well, Stella, you could take a nap and tell us a story later. I'm fine, she says, carefully shifting her weight. Tell us a Jambo story, I say. It's a favorite of mine. But I don't think Bob's ever heard it. Because she remembers everything. Stella knows so many stories, like a colorful tale with black beginnings and stormy middles and cloudless blue sky endings. But any story will do. I'm in no position to be picky. Once upon a time, Stella begins, there was a human boy. He was visiting a gorilla family at a place called Zoo. What's a zoo? Bob asks. He's a smart dog, but there's much he hasn't seen. A good zoo, Stella says, is a large domain, like a wild cage, a safe place to be. It is room to roam and humans who don't hurt you. She pauses. A good zoo is how humans make amends and say they're sorry. Stella moves a bit, groaning softly. The boy stood on a wall, she says, watching and pointing, but he lost his balance and he fell into the wild cage. Humans are so clumsy, I interrupt. If only they would knuckle walk, they wouldn't fall over so often. Maybe I should have you guys knuckle walk on your chairs so you don't fall out of your chair so often, too. Stella nods. Good point, Ivan. In any case, the boy lay in a motionless heap, and the humans all gasped and cried. The silverback, whose name was Jambo, examined the boy, as was his duty, while his troop watched him from a safe distance. Jambo stroked the child gently. He smelled the boy's pain, and then he stood watch. When the boy awoke, the humans cried, "Stay still, don't move!" Because they were certain, humans are always certain about things, that Jambo would crush the boy's life from him. The boy moaned. The crowd waited and hushed, expecting the worst. And Jambo led his troops away. Men came down with ropes and whisked the child into waiting arms. Was the boy all right, Bob asked. He wasn't hurt, Stella said, although I wouldn't be surprised if his parents hugged him so many times that night in between their scoldings. Bob, who was chewing his tail, paused. Is that a true story? I always tell the truth, Stella replies, although sometimes I confuse the facts. And actually, guys, if you look it up, that was a true story that happened a couple years ago, that a little boy fell into a zoo cage with a gorilla. The next chapter is called Lucky. What's up, Kalia?
They killed the gorilla because I thought they.
I know, yeah. In real life, they did because they thought it was going to hurt the little boy. But it did happen that the boy fell and the gorilla tried to help him. The next chapter is called Lucky. I've heard the Jambo story so many times. Stella says that humans found it odd that the huge silverback didn't kill the boy. I wonder, was that so surprising? The boy was young and scared and alone. After all, he was just another great ape. Bob nudges me with his cold nose. Ivan, why aren't you and Stella in a zoo? I look at Stella and she looks at me, and she smiles sadly with her eyes, just a little, the way only elephants can do. Just lucky, I guess, she says. Next chapter is called Arrival. The new neighbor arrives after the 4 o'clock show. When the truck comes lumbering towards the parking lot, Bob scampers over to inform us. Bob always knows what's happening. He's a useful friend to have, especially when you can't leave your own domain. With a groan, Mac lifts the sliding metal door near the food court and the place where the deliveries are made. A big white truck is backing up to the door, belching smoke. And when the driver opens the trunk, I know Stella is right. A baby elephant is inside, and I see her little trunk poking out from the blackness. She looks a little scared. I'm glad for Stella, but when I glance at her, I see Stella is not glad at all. Why do you think Stella wouldn't be happy that there's a baby elephant coming? Kira?
Because it's another elephant and they might be replacing Stella.
Okay, so they could be replacing Stella. Any other ideas why they wouldn't be happy? Kalia?
Because she didn't want the elephant to go through the same bad experiments she did.
Yeah. Stella doesn't enjoy being at this place. We could tell her foot's hurt, and then they're bringing in another elephant. So maybe she doesn't want to replace. Maybe she doesn't want them to go through the same stuff as her. Stand back, everyone, Mac yells. We've got a new arrival. This is Ruby, folks. 600 pounds of fun to save our sorry bottoms. This gal is going to sell us some tickets. Mac and 2 men climb into the black cave of the truck, and we hear a noise, a scuffling, and a word that Mac uses when he's angry. Ruby makes a noise, too, like one of the little trumpets that they sell in the gift store. Move it, Mac says, but there's still no Ruby. Move, he said. We ain't got all day. Inside her domain, Stella paces as much as she's able, 2 steps one way and 2 steps the other. She slaps her trunk against the rusty metal bars and she grumbles. Stella, I ask, did you hear the baby? Stella murmurs something under her breath, a word that she uses when she's angry. Relax, Stella. It'll be okay, I say. Ivan, it will never be okay. And I know enough that I need to stop talking. The next chapter is called Stella Helps. The men are still yelling. Some of the yelling is at each other, but most of the yelling is at Ruby. We hear scrambling and pounding and shifting, and the side of the truck shudders and shakes. Starting to like this elephant, Bob says. I'm getting the big one, Max says. Maybe we could coax the stupid brat out of the back of the truck. Mac opens Stella's door. Come on, girl, he urges. He unties the rope and he attaches it to the floor bolt. Stella pushes past Mac, nearly knocking him over. She rushes as best as she can, limping heavily towards the back of the open trunk. She catches her swollen foot on the edge of the ramp and she winces, and blood trickles down her leg. Halfway up the ramp, she pauses. The noise in the truck stops, and Ruby falls silent. Slowly, Stella makes her way up the rest of the ramp. It groans under her weight, and I could tell how much she's hurting by the awkward way that she has to move. On the top of the incline, she pokes her trunk into the emptiness. We wait. A tiny gray trunk appears, and slyly it reaches out like it's tasting the air. And Stella curls her own trunk around the baby's, and they make soft rumbling noises. We wait some more, and a hush falls over the entire Big Top Mall. Thud, thud, step, step, pause. Step, step, pause. And there she is. She's so small she could fit underneath Stella with room to spare. Her skin sags, and she sways unsteadily as she makes her way down the ramp. Not the greatest specimen, Max says, but I got her cheap from this bankrupt circus out west. They had shipped her over from Africa, only had her a month before they went bust. He gestures towards Ruby. Thing is, people love babies. Baby elephants, baby gorillas. Heck, give me a baby alligator. I could make a killing off of it. Stella ushers Ruby towards her domain, and Mac and the 2 men follow. At Stella's door, Ruby hesitates. Mac gives Ruby a shove, but she doesn't budge. Doggone it, get a clue, Ruby, he mutters, but Ruby isn't moving, and neither is Stella. Mac grabs a broom. He raises it, and instantly Stella steps in front of Ruby to shield her. Get in the cage, both of you, Mac shouts. Stella stares at Mac, considering, gently but firmly. Using her trunk, she nudges Ruby into her domain. Only then does Stella enter, and Mac slams the door shut with a clang. I see two trunks intertwined, and I hear Stella whispering. Poor kid, says Bob. Welcome to the Big Top 8 Circus Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan. I will do one more chapter. It's called Old News. When Julia comes, she sits by Stella's domain and watches the new baby. She barely talks to me. Stella doesn't talk to me either. She's too busy nuzzling Ruby. She is cute, little Ruby, with her ears flapping like little palm leaves, but I am handsome and strong. Bob trots a circle around my belly before settling down in just the right spot. Give it up, Ivan, he says. You're old news now. Julia gets a piece of paper and a pencil, and I can see she's drawing baby Ruby. I move to the corner of my domain to pout. Bob grumbles. He doesn't like it when I disrupt his naps. Homework, Julia's father scolds, and Julia sighs and puts her drawing aside. I grunt, and Julia glances in my direction. Poor Ivan, she says. I've been ignoring you, haven't I? I grunt again, dignified and different grunt. Julia thinks for a moment and then smiles. She walks over to my domain, to the spot in the corner where the glass is broken. She slides the paper through and she rolls a pencil across the cement floor. You could draw the baby elephant too, Julia says. I bite the pencil in half with my magnificent teeth, and then I eat some paper. We will stop there, and tomorrow we're going to start with a chapter called Tricks. So, what do you guys think of our book so far? You can unmute yourself